So it's different inspirations that all kind of came together. So the guy with the big afro, that's actually a caricature of my father. My father passed away in 2014, and it just kind of made me start asking just some tough questions about my life at the time. Like, what was my legacy? If that was me that had just checked out, like, what do I have to show for everything that I've done? I went to culinary school prior to me being in the music business. And Bun Beef and the legendary UGK, he was the one that kind of told me, like, I need to take the cooking more seriously and stuff like that. And that was kind of like my leap of faith. I gave my word that I was going to do it, and I bought a food truck, and now we like 4 or 5 restaurants deep. So yeah, just following my passion on purpose, and just dared to step outside of my comfort zone. This was like some kind of like deep plan that I had like years ago, and this was God's plan. Like this was just the way that it naturally just occurred, and I just followed the path that I was led down.
My name is Guillermo, by the way.
Gabriella.
My inspiration came from playing sports. I always felt like I was the best, so I started cooking, and from there just went on. And I'm like, hey, if you can do it, I can do it. Started first small, 10 people at a time, from my S job where I used to work at. Then I went outside, Instagram, started promoting. Then we started doing events in a small tent. I bought like a little stove from Bass Pro Shop. I learned. Everything was just a learning process. Like, I'm still learning. Never worked in the kitchen before. Never worked in a restaurant before. And I heard, she like, let's do it. And that's it. Every time I fall down, she pushed me up.
Aww. Well, my inspiration for Finn's Kitchen was to open up a food truck where it took traditional Haitian food and kind of put like a modern twist on it, because growing up, a lot of people doubted Haitian food, so I had wanted to make something unique.
The concept of the mac and cheese came from when I was in the music business. We used to travel a lot. When I used to come home, would be like the only time where we would see each other's like families and kids and stuff like that. We'd be gone for 60 days and then come back home. So I would throw these like huge like cookouts and barbecues and stuff like that at my house. And I would do these huge spreads with chicken and mac and cheese. But the talk of the town was always the mac and cheese. And then so my family's Trinidadian. But when I went to school, so in Trinidad they make like macaroni pie. But then when I went to school, I started learning how to play around with the rules and stuff like that. And then so naturally, when I started making the mac and cheese, it was a fusion of the West Indian way of making it, and then the way that I was taught in school. And it was always like the talk of the town.
I'm Dominican, she's Cuban, Puerto Rican. So that's where the infusion come in. It's just not a Dominican truck. So a lot of people would be like, oh, it's Dominican truck. No, it's not. It's a fusion of all 3 Spanish islands. And also we try to expand our horizon to a different culture. If I don't feel the food is right, I redo it. So it take a little longer. That's probably a personal problem, an ego problem.
Yes.
Nothing to do with the business, but
No.
That's one of the biggest
He makes
problems, right?
everything perfect.
Perfect. I'm always on top of them.
So my food consists of Haitian cuisine. So we have our griot, our plantain, fried turkey. We have our traditional red beans and rice. Then we go ahead over with the twist side, where we're known for our griot tacos, our frita quesadilla, which consists of, you get to choose the fried griot and cheese, and it comes with our in-house chipotle sauce. We also make a frita loaded fries. And with the fries, we mix in there with the griot, onions, peppers, cheese. Then we drizzle our in-house chipotle sauce. Then also we make comforters, which is basically heaven in a plate. You know, we're known for having the best comp fillers in South Florida. You know, if you want to prove me wrong, I'll challenge you. So step up to the plate. Now I'm squeezing my citric acid so I can go ahead and do stage 1 of cleaning the grill, which so what I'm doing, I'm gonna go ahead and basically clean up meat right now. I'm gonna add citric acid, salt, vinegar, and I'm gonna let it soak in boiling hot water for a good 10 minutes. So the salt and the vinegar and the citric acid is gonna help the meat get tender. So when I boil it, it don't get too tough on me. So now I'm marinating the grill. So after we get done marinating it, we go ahead and let it set for 24 hours. Then after the 24 hours is done, we're gonna go ahead and boil it till it gets nice and tender. And we go ahead and it'll be ready to serve. There's a lot of cons to it, but there's a lot of pros.
So reason why we picked a trailer versus a truck was even
I
though
I
he
want a
wanted a
truck.
truck,
But
and
she gave me the reason why.
yes,
So
we
you know,
purchased the
expensive.
truck first, and then we had the truck sitting in the front of the house. We asked for quotes, and it would have cost way more to just fix the engine and the bed of the truck to get all the equipment. So I started thinking, and I was like, all right. So
just the equipment on the truck was $45,000.
yes, just for the bed side, and then the engine, ni se diga, like it was just gonna be too much. So I was thinking another, all right, so if something happens, because the engine was never gonna be guaranteed, so if something happens, we'll lose money because the truck would have to go to a mechanic, and we don't know how long it was gonna take just to get it fixed. So I'm an overthinker, and I started telling him we should get a trailer. We just need to get a truck. We could rent a truck, and we'll pull it. And he didn't listen too much until somebody else told him.
No, I
Yes.
listened to you.
No, he didn't.
So bad.
We built it on our own design, right?
It's custom made.
Custom made, and it's It's easier to just pick it up and go instead of a truck. A truck you have to like worry about engine oil change.
Mechanical problem.
Yes, tires,
Tires.
everything.
Everything. Like a car, you gotta maintain it.
And cons of having a food truck. I could say that it's difficult to go ahead and find events that allow food trucks, especially if you have a big one. We run into issues where we have issues with different vendors, going over like site plans, location where trucks at, if there are any outlets or spots for the trucks, or vendor payment issues. Another con that I could say is just not too long ago, my generator broke down on me while I was at an event. So I was catering for 200 people, and I needed power on my truck, so I had to run my truck for like roughly 6 hours straight, and it's drank all the gas out of the food truck. So luckily, I'm good with my hands, and I have a background in working on cars, and I went ahead and fixed the generator.
The downside is you don't have a walk-in cooler, you don't have a walk-in freezer. When you run out of propane, you run out of gas, you're done. Like you know what I mean. So like you can only sell to a certain limit. Like if you're not going somewhere, you're plugged up to shore power, you don't have like backup freezers and all kind of stuff. Then it's like limited. Like you got a line of people around the block, and then you watching money walk away from you because you can't keep up with it. And that's what we used to face on the truck. It was like, like when we first started, it was cute. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, cool, we sold out. But then after a while, you like, man, I just let $1,500 walk away because we ran out of food. We ain't had nothing to sell.
Pros, I would say you meet wonderful people. You get to network a lot. Just putting a smile on people's face when they try your food and stuff, that's the best sight to see, especially very inspirational. You get to travel a lot, and you're your own boss. That's the best thing you can be, your own boss. You get what you put in. So me, I go 110%. So I try getting back 110%.
I don't want to open a restaurant. Why? I was inspired by cousin named Lawson. They started as a food truck, then they started owning a franchise, which now they have they in 35 cities and over 50 trucks. Still no restaurants. Restaurants is too much restrictions, too much paperwork, permit. When you have the food truck, it's a little easier and you can travel and you have a little more control of your life than restaurants. If you open at 7, you got to be there at 7 because people expect you to be there at 7. So there's no control of your life unless you have somebody working for you. But at the time, you won't have nobody working. So that's why the restaurant part is not really so big right now in my mindset, or trying to focus on the restaurant.
So the truck was good at the time we had the truck for what we needed the truck for at that time. But we outgrew the truck. The food truck was just so important to the journey and just building a foundation to what we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, the humility of the food truck, because it's work. Like, the truck will definitely kind of show you what you made of. There's a lot of people committed to buying trucks that tapped out. They couldn't, like, they didn't know what they signed up for, and then they got into it, and they like, wait a minute, they didn't tell me about this part. The transition from a food truck to a restaurant, it was natural to me. Like, it was just natural progression. Because I mean, when I wrote my business plan, it was always to have a brick and mortar. But like, the food truck was just a more cost-effective way to get it started. It was just literally coming out of a truck and going into a restaurant because I already had people on shifts. I already had dishwashers. I already had all this other stuff because we was operating like that on the food truck. So it was like a natural progression. Even though I've never operated a full restaurant before this, I wasn't intimidated by it. I just felt like, we're gonna step into it and we're gonna be great. So right now we have 3 in South Florida and we have 1 in Overtown, North Miami Beach, Doral, and we have 1 in Orlando that we just opened. Well, we're about to open in about a month. And then we're also in the Hyatt Regency and the Confidant Hotel. So, just short steps, long vision.